Look at this curve. Since 2014, India's smartphone export volume multiplied 166 times over, becoming the largest exported product category in 2025. That surge was driven by the first production-linked incentive scheme, generating an astronomical 11.61 lakh crore rupees in total production. But beneath those massive top-line numbers lies a structural vulnerability. The vast majority of this infrastructure is dedicated strictly to final stage assembly. Looking at the device's bill of materials, reality becomes clear. Highest value components like silicon chipsets and display modules are almost entirely imported. Domestic value addition is stalled at just 23%, meaning 77% of a made-in-India smartphone's economic value is generated elsewhere. The first phase of industrial policy successfully built a world-class assembly line, but it did not create a sovereign, self-sustaining technology ecosystem.
To correct that deficit, the government has introduced the 62,500 crore rupee Mobile Phone Manufacturing Scheme, or MPMS. The entire architecture of this new policy is designed to aggressively push that domestic value addition rate closer to the 35 to 40% mark over the next 5 years. It attempts this by splitting the market into two highly specific tracks, Target Segment 1 and Target Segment 2. Target Segment 1 is engineered for the high-volume global incumbents already operating in the country. Target Segment 2, on the other hand, acts as a subsidized incubator reserved exclusively for domestic brands building their own intellectual property. The state is no longer measuring success solely by the gross volume of units shipped out of ports. The new metric is the structural depth of the supply chain left behind. For the global giants and large electronics manufacturing services companies to even qualify for Target Segment 1, they must prove a baseline annual turnover of 10,000 crore rupees. Once qualified, these incumbents can access base incentives ranging from 2.25% to 5% on their eligible sales. But those payouts apply strictly to incremental sales. To unlock the first year's incentive, a manufacturer must generate an additional 5,000 crore rupees in sales above their established baseline. That incremental requirement scales steeply every year, eventually demanding an extra 25,000 crore rupees in new sales by the 5th year. This chart illustrates the policy's most demanding mechanic. You have an annual sales baseline, and the incentive zone exists only above it. But that baseline isn't static. Every year, the floor resets, recalculating as the previous year's sales plus a 15% increase. Because domestic consumption alone cannot absorb that kind of compound growth, manufacturers will have to use export volumes to hit these escalating thresholds. Target Segment 1 makes it financially unviable to coast on existing factory capacity. It legally compels global companies into continuous, aggressive expansion. To ensure that expansion actually deepens the supply chain, the policy introduces an additional 1.5% incentive explicitly tied to domestic sourcing. This bonus targets specific, high-value components, display modules, camera modules, mechanical enclosures, batteries, and even USB cables. This model represents a manufacturer's total annual units sold, with a hard boundary drawn at 25%. A token batch won't trigger a payout. To unlock the bonus, a specific subassembly must be localized for at least 1/4 of total volume. Meeting that quota requires immense capital, especially for complex components like battery cells, which demand highly specialized local production facilities. This is where the MPMS strategy locks together with the separate 40,000 crore rupee Electronics Components Manufacturing Scheme, or ECMS. While the MPMS forces large manufacturers to buy local parts, the ECMS subsidizes the medium and small-scale suppliers attempting to build those exact components. By legally mandating a 25% localization floor, the government creates guaranteed captive demand for domestic suppliers, effectively using global incumbents to fund the base of India's component supply chain. That brings us to Target Segment 2. Here, the barrier to entry drops dramatically from 10,000 crore down to just 1,000 crore rupees, and it is strictly reserved for domestic companies. To legally qualify as an Indian brand, a company must prove that Indian citizens hold more than 51% of the entity's shares and maintain absolute management control. Crucially, the trademark and all intellectual property must be held in India. This closes a loophole, structurally preventing the simple white labeling of imported hardware. If a domestic firm meets these criteria, they access a highly lucrative 3% incentive dedicated solely to product design and research and development. To unlock this capital, the brand must conduct genuine in-house industrial design, construct the product architecture, run hardware testing, and develop the user interface domestically. This waterfall chart reveals the maximum incentive for an Indian firm. It starts with a 5% base incentive. Hitting domestic sourcing adds a 1.5% bonus. Stacking the 3% R&D kicker gives an Indian brand a massive 9.5% financial edge. The segment also builds in leniency, allowing for a 1-year gestation period and opening the door for additional non-fiscal support coordinated by a government-empowered committee. The government has engineered Target Segment 2 as a financially fortified incubator, specifically to grow sovereign intellectual property. When you zoom out, the interlocking mechanics of the policy become clear. Target Segment 1 forces global manufacturing giants to aggressively scale up and buy local components to protect their margins. That mandated scale translates into massive, predictable purchase orders, feeding capital directly into the domestic mid-size suppliers building the hardware. Over 5 years, this engine is projected to support 60,000 direct jobs and drive 39 lakh crore rupees in total production volume. This legally mandated volume allows local component makers to hit economies of scale that would be impossible with domestic demand alone. By spreading high fixed costs across millions of units for global giants, these suppliers can offer competitive pricing to smaller Indian brands. With these components now price competitive with imports, domestic firms can redirect capital away from complex overseas procurement and into high-value product design. The MPMS functions as a geopolitical financial instrument, using foreign manufacturing scale to subsidize the transition from a consumer of global technology to a sovereign architect of it.